I am the original T. I'm not about drama, let's get ourselves free. I am the original T. I'll tell you some stories, we'll look for that key. I am the original T. Let's talk about life, it's as vast as the sea. I am the original T. Let's all find a path, we'll live it and let it be.
Oh, I know it's been a long time. Checking my volume here to make sure you can hear me. Making sure the apps work right. So hi, it's me. It's T. Time to talk about the tea, me. Yeah, I've been absent. I have been. I took time away. I isolated. I was more of an introvert than an extrovert. And you know I'm a mix of both of them. But a couple things happened that restarted me in different ways. One of them was we've been downsizing because we moved to a smaller place. And during our move to this smaller place, it took us 6-7 months to get here. But in that time, I ended up getting COVID when I'd been really careful. But it was the Omicron. I was going to get it. And I healed up from that, and we were beginning to move, and then I broke my wrist. So something happened to my confidence during all that time. I wasn't talking as much to people. I was staying at home more. My self-confidence really took a hit. So back to this downsizing. So hubby and I were going through some boxes that I hadn't looked at in a long time. He keeps promising he's just going to torch them all from storage because he's sick of them being there. But I just need to check to see what's in them. Most of them are going to cancer research, which is great. We found a place that can take things, and that makes me feel good that they're going to go to somebody to help them. You know how I am. So I started opening these boxes, and I was finding these certificates and these awards of back when I worked in the .com days. And I had all of the accolades for most valuable player, team leader. I won a fair one time. It was one where you have to create your own process. It was an invention fair. And I worked with the tech support team and came up with a way to recoup millions of dollars for this organization I worked for by doing an end-to-end review. It's an audit, but we called it something different so that it wouldn't scare people. We just, in the software world, it's important to be compliant. So we just said, look, we already know that you're using these licenses. It's probably by accident. But since you're using them already, let us, I had the salespeople jump on the calls with me. They were the ones that said, let us put these down on paper for you. We'll give you a really good deal because you're already using them. We know you need them. So let us help you get compliant and save some money in doing it. So I started that whole thing. But it took a lot. It took a lot to do it. It took a lot to win management over and upper management over and directors over to the idea. But they did. They went for it. And I got to start my own team. And I had my own partner who I miss. I'm trying to get a hold of her. But anyway, we did it. And I have them over there. They're sitting on the shelf. Now I laid them all out. I was looking at them. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So this week, it's just like an awakening time. And my birthday's on the 22nd, so it's perfect timing. but it's just a reawakening time where I'm doing some hard things. I'm taking some classes. I'm doing some stretch goals. A few other things as well. They're all stretch things, and they're all really important things to me. So that's why I've been kind of just hiding away and just at a grind doing these things. But I realized I need to come up for air and connect with you and find out what you're doing, because I go back to that being an island person. Then I realize I don't have any friends to talk to. And when the chips are down, it's nice to have that circle, isn't it? Somebody to go to just say, meh, I didn't win this day, but I tried. And somebody who knows you, who can say, yeah, you tried. Tomorrow will be a better day. So, yeah, I'm not ready to walk away yet from YouTube. I've just begun. I had a much bigger channel long ago, back in the day, back when YouTube was in its infancy, but that was on a whole different subject. And this subject now is, growing old, growing to new ages, inclusivity, positivity, honesty, trust, all of those things. And I told you I was going to tell you a little bit about some of the things that happened to me in my life that were quite astounding and not the norm. And I do have stories. This is that ooga booga stuff, right? So it's too true or it's not, It's woo woo or it's too true. But these were too true. They really did happen. So one example was driving from Arizona to Alaska in a car. It was in April. The Exxon Valdez oil spill happened on our way up there. I was like, wow, what's going to happen now? But we went up there, and I had a 3-year-old son at the time, and we moved up there, and wow, we walked into this whole new world. I'd lived in California most of my life. I traveled around because my first husband was in the Air Force, so we went a few places in the United States. Alaska is kind of like its own world, isn't it? Because we call everybody else the lower 48. So it's kind of like its own little universe. But yeah, that's where we ended up. But before we got there, we drove the Alcan Highway, the Alaska-Canada Highway. And in that highway, on that road, you're going to go through the Yukon. It's a wild ride, the things that you'll see. But I started getting these feelings as we were driving, as we were getting closer to a place called Whitehorse. And I even asked my ex, I said, I keep seeing like these little houses. They're these tiny like miniature houses. But I don't know, they're like a memorial to somebody or I don't know what. I mean, I didn't have any background to put it together in my head what it was I was seeing in my mind's eye. So we drove about 15 minutes further out, and all of a sudden I looked to my left and I said, oh, can you pull over for a second? And I looked, and there are a bunch of miniature houses, all different kinds. And it was a Native American cemetery or graveyard. And the houses were called spirit houses. And so on top of the grave, they would put a house. And that house would house the soul of the person who had passed away. And before that house is put on that person's grave, it is kept at somebody's house, usually like the family's house. If it's a partner that's passed away, it's kept at the family home. And they leave the house out. in the evening because it's just a miniature house, and people from all over the town come and they secretly leave gifts to keep in the house. And I learned this when I was living in Cordova, but I didn't know it at the time. But yeah, there were all these little different houses, and they represented an individual who had passed on. And I thought, man, that's cool. So I was like, oh, okay, all right. So we continued on, and it was getting stronger and stronger, like that feeling I get. That I just recognize a place. I just have a feeling I know where things are. And we were going up this big hill, and I kept telling my husband, I keep seeing this. I know there's another cemetery coming up. And he's like, okay, yeah, but we're going up a massive hill, so I doubt it. You know, there's nothing like really on either side of the hill. It'd have to be down. I said, well, I just think it's going to be a really old cemetery. Like, I can literally see it spelled out, Old Cemetery. And he's like, yeah, that's a unique name for an old cemetery, Old Cemetery. So he was like, just laughing about that. And we got to the top of the hill, and I said, pull over. And so he pulls over, and he looks at me. I look at him, and I look down into this valley. And in this little valley, in big white rocks, is spelled Old Cemetery. And my ex-husband jumps out of the car right at that moment and says, I'm not getting back in unless you stop being weird. Because he was like, what the hell is she doing? But yeah, like the closer and closer we got to Alaska and through the Yukon and Canada too, I started just having these feelings of tuning in and just getting an idea of what these things were. And a lot of them were cemeteries. And cemeteries have always been a comfort to me. I look at it like I do driving. We're all equal there, right? If we're all stuck in a traffic jam, we're all in our cars. Nobody's going to get further than the other one. No, it doesn't matter how much money you have or what kind of car you have. You're stuck in traffic. We're all equal there. When we're in a cemetery, we're all equal because we come from wherever we came from and we go back to wherever we came from. And it doesn't matter how much money you have or how famous you are or any of those things. We are humans. And we have a beginning, middle, and end, and we go on to the next thing. And those things have just always given me comfort. If I'm going through a really stressful time, I'll go look for a cemetery to go take pictures of and read the headstones because they tell me stories about the people who were there before, and that life is just a part of what happens in the bigger picture of things. It's just a smaller snapshot, really, in the whole of the universe that we're part of. I know I'm going all cosmic and stuff, but that's how I see it. And I've seen it that way for a long, long time. One time, this is when I was still with my family, my mom and dad and sisters. My son was about 2. He was a little baby, because I had my son when I was like 18, and my birthday, I turned 19 2 months after that, so I was really young. And we spent some time there. I think we spent about 3 years in Arizona. And I went to work for my mom at this dress shop. And every morning when I would wake up, I'd have these dreams and I'd tell the family about them. They're always weird dreams. You know, everybody took turns telling their weird dreams. And I woke up one morning and I said, I had this dream, and it's so weird because it's like not important in any way. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, this big premonition I had. I said, I just had this dream that I was standing in the dress shop, and I was looking at this card rack, You know, the kind that turn that you put cards or postcards on. I was looking around, and at the very top there was an insignia, and it said the Rotary Club. And I was just looking at this card rack, turning it around and around. And my older sister's like, yeah, cool story. Everybody was like, okay, yeah. So we're on with our day. We finished our coffee. So I went to the store, to the dress shop with my mom. My mom was in the back. She was having some coffee or tea. And I was up at the front. And this gentleman came in looking for a dress for his wife, his good lady wife. And he introduced himself because he said, oh, you're new to the town. This is a new shop that you've come into. Well, let me introduce myself. I'm so-and-so. I own the card rack that's just up the street, which was a Hallmark gift store, the card rack. And I'm with the Rotary Club. Here's my card. And it had it was everything that I saw in my dream. And it wasn't like he said, and also you've won $1 million, you know, or there's a cure for cancer as well. Instead, it was just, I could hear my mom like clink, put the glass down, and like come tearing out of the room to see who this guy was, you know, because she's like, oh my God, this is just what Trees was talking about this morning. But he was just a connection, and I think also because of the headspace I was in at the time, I just didn't know where I belonged. I was kind of out of sorts. I had a young son. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. My self-esteem was at one of those all-time lows. And this thing happened, and it's just one of those things where you just get that good inside feeling that somebody's with you. You're not alone. You're listening. You're tuning in. It's going to be all right, kid. You're going to be okay. And so my mom was just like waiting to see what else big was going to happen. And I said, I think that's it. That's it. It's just that I needed to know that there's more than just me, more than just this day, more than just this ground I'm walking on, this hard time I'm going through emotionally. There's a bigger world out there. And I just needed to be reminded. And apparently my family needed to know that I knew this. I don't know why. I don't know why. But lots and lots and lots and lots of those kinds of things happened. I was living up in Alaska, and I was getting ready to go on a trip. And I might have talked about these in different videos, but I like to put them all into one. I was getting ready to go on a trip to Anchorage. So I was in this town called Cordova, which is southernmost near the Prince William Sound, and Anchorage is in the middle there of Alaska. And well, at least it takes you a puddle jump, as we like to call it. You got to get in a plane because Cordova is landlocked, so you can't get in or out without a plane. So twice a year we'd go shopping and go get the kids school clothes and any kind of food that we wanted that they didn't have locally, that we could freeze up and that sort of thing. So we'd go twice a year and see if our kids needed glasses, needed new shoes, needed clothes, whatever it was. And so we went up there. We took an airplane up there. And the night before I left, I was on the phone with my mother again. And I told my mom, I said, it's so weird. The night before last night, I had this dream that I was in Anchorage and this big volcano happened. And there was lava running down the streets. It was really scary, like lava, which probably couldn't happen because the volcanoes were kind of far. And I didn't think any of them were active anyway. Anyway, we get to Alaska. We get to Anchorage. And my friend who I went there with, she goes off and does her own thing. She's got the truck. She's got the rent-a-car. And I'm on my own. And I'm at like this outdoor mall type strip mall place where there's like a Target and a Walmart and clothing shops and all that sort of thing where you're going to get kid stuff and stuff that you might need. So I'm like shopping around. It's getting to be about sunset, and I look up in the sky, and I'm like at this Target. I'm getting ready to walk over to like a Walmart. I look up in the sky, and it's a beautiful sunset. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It was like orange and pink. It was like sherbet colored. Um, Dark and dusky, but red and brilliant pinks and violets. This is wild. I was like, wow, what a stunning sunset this is. So I walk into the next shop, and I'm walking around looking for clothes and things that we might need for Pat and I for the following year. And my eyes are itching, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I got dried eyes from being on the airplane, or I'm tired or whatever. I kept rubbing my eyes. And I heard all of a sudden the loudspeaker goes off, and this woman says, Walmart is about to close in about 20 minutes due to the eruption of the volcano. And I'm like, what? What? And this is before we had all the cell phones and all that sort of thing. So I'm like just there. And I don't know when my friend's coming back. We were just going to meet up somewhere, like at a restaurant or something at the end of the day. And I'm just standing there. I'm thinking, okay, they're going to close the store. I have a vehicle. And everybody has to go outside and get in their cars and go home. You get 20 minutes. We're going to close it down. I'm towards the back of the store near the pharmacy. And I just happened to go towards the pharmacy. And I'm talking to the pharmacist and saying, is that true? Did a volcano erupt? And he goes, yeah, it's erupted. What's happening is it's raining down the ash that has a lot of glass in it. It will like ground planes and stuff like that. It'll keep planes from flying. And he goes, well, oh, and look at you. You must have been out in it because your eyes are just bloody red. Red, 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 red. And so I'd gotten the ash that has the glass in it into my eyes. That's what's burning and itching. And so he took me and flushed my eyes out really good and gave me some drops on the house. He's like, okay, well, we've got to go. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go try to find like a mask or a bandana or something because I'm going to be stuck out in the cold, out in the darkness of the volcano because it's raining ash, so it's dark. It's like snow, but it's not. And I'm scared. And so I start asking people, can I buy one of your bandanas? Can I buy one of your masks? Because people had bought them all up because they were all desperate and scared. They wouldn't. I asked for a bandana for 20 bucks. A little paint breather mask that cost like 20 cents for 20 bucks. They wouldn't give me one. Not one person would. And then they started ushering us out the door. And I started looking around and I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll go to the moms that have kids, because maybe they'll be like the most compassionate or something and just tell them I'm here shopping for my son. We live in Cordova. I have a hotel I can go to, but I can't get there right now because what? Is a cab going to come? They can't see me. And would it be okay if I came home with you? I know that's weird, but I don't have anywhere to go. And I can then just use the phone and find a ride and get back over to the hotel. People wouldn't look at me. They wouldn't talk to me. I ended up getting booted out on the side of Walmart with all the people walking past me. I didn't have a mask. I didn't have a way home. And I was just stoic. I was just holding my shirt, over my nose and mouth and trying to keep my eyes closed and waiting. And I was backed up against the wall of the Walmart. And I'm thinking, what is going on? What is going on? Is there any? But now you could kind of see, if you've been in the snow before and you've been in a strip mall, you can see like the lights. You kind of see them like a fog and then a light and a light, street light type thing, or parking lights. All of a sudden I hear this car. I can hear a car coming. And little by little by little, as it gets closer to where I am, I can see it. It's a taxi. It's this guy. And he opens the door and he says, get in. And I'm like, I am trying to get to a hotel. I'm sure you can't drive me there because you'd have to get up on the on-ramp on the freeway to get me over there. And he said, get in the car where it's safe. Get in. I will take you there. And I said, are you sure you're safe to do that? And he said, just get in the car. I'm out looking for people like you. So I get in the car with him. He asks me which hotel. I tell him. We get up on the on-ramp, and he is literally driving next to the guardrail. He's allowing it to scratch the side of his car. He knows the freeway like the back of his hand. He knows. But, you know, to just stay where you need to stay, because it's like a whiteout when you're in the snow. You can't see anything. You're snowblind. And he's scraping along. He eventually gets us to the hotel. And I tell him, you know, you're welcome to come into the lobby and sit down for a minute, and make any phone calls you need to. I said, here, I've got $40 left. Take it all. Just take it, because I'm so grateful that you did this. If there's anything I can give you or do for you, please let me know, because nobody else would do such a thing. And I was so touched by this guy. And he's like, oh, he goes, no, ma'am, you keep the money. I just couldn't let you just sit there like that. And I can't sit in the lobby. I've got to get home to my wife and kids. But I just wanted to make sure I could take care of someone who might have been lost. I was quite worried. And off he went. That was it. When I got to my room, in the old days, there was that little phone, right? And the little red light was beeping, telling me I had messages. I had so many messages. My mother, Therese Marie, that's me, Miss T. Call me right now. Call me, hanging up. She's scared to death. She's calling. She can't get a hold of me. She heard my dream that the lava was going to get us all. She doesn't know. Where am I? So I finally call her, and I tell her the whole story. And I'm mostly upset because people wouldn't share their masks with me. I thought that really hurt me, that my fellow brothers and sisters wouldn't share. And I was like really hurt about that. That was so not cool. I was heartbroken about that. But I told my mom, I'm like, I promise I didn't see any lava. We'll make sure that the air is clear. Well, no planes are going to take off if it's not safe, because literally the engines will cut out. They will quit working if there's volcanic ash that gets into the engines. So we had to wait a day or two. And little kids were out in their yards making ash men, like snowmen, but ash, which is not good for you. I was like trying to tell people, don't let your kids play in that stuff. It's, you know, it's caustic. Don't play in it. You know, don't breathe it. Don't play in it. I know it's exciting because the kid thinks it's something new. But so yeah, all these, just these things, nothing that can change the world, really. Didn't come up with a cure for cancer, didn't get the lotto numbers, didn't, you know all the answers to the test. It was just that there was this little nudge that I'm with you. You're not alone. I got you. I'm just going to give you some signs, little signs that, we're all tuning in to this station, and occasionally you catch wind of it, and you just see it happen, and you think, yeah, I did dream about that. I did think about that. That's right. It happened. And again, I think it's just a little hug from the inside to say, it'll be all right. This is a new stage of your life, and I'm just letting myself be known to you that you can clear your mind and listen and tune in a bit better. You don't have to have it cluttered with fear of what will happen next. Will I have enough money to feed my child? Will I have enough money for the rent? What's going to become of me? I'm only in my early 30s. Am I, working 3 jobs? Am I really going to make it? Are we going to be all right? And those things that happened to me were like a yes from the universe. Yes, those things will happen. You're going to be okay. And you can keep pushing ahead. You're safe. You're good. We got your back. So that's it. There are other stories, so many other stories about readings that I did, about automatic writings I did, about medium type stuff that I did. That they turned out in a really great and special kind of way that was beneficial to the person who needed it. And it was beneficial to me because it was a way to know that I'm not alone and I'm part of a bigger thing. And that we're all connected. We're all connected. Not one of us is truly alone. Sometimes we lose our way. But there's enough. There's enough connection between all of us that nobody has to get lost, right? Just hold hands and go in pairs. Form a chain and take each other's hand. We'll get through the hard part. So anyway, I just thought I'd come on and talk to you and yammer a little bit and do the It's Just Me tea talk. It's not a TED talk, it's tea talk. So I'm just getting my feet wet again after the passing of a friend and some other things going on, and just learning to live in this new space that I'm at and making friends. People here are really lovely. It's a beautiful place. There's just a lot of changes. I'm that girl that wants to know what happens at the end of the story. I want to skip ahead so I'm prepared, fully prepared. But life doesn't work that way. Sometimes you don't get to know. Instead, you just need to be in it fully in that day. So let's stay in the moment together, right? Keep each other honest. Stay in the moment. Don't go awfulizing. Don't go day tripping. Stay in the moment. Do what you can today. What did you do today? One little thing that you couldn't do yesterday or didn't do yesterday. How are we growing? In what ways are we progressing? We can do this. We have each other. We really do. And we are connected. So I've missed you. And I'd love to hear about what you've been up to and your thoughts. So I'll end this for now, but I'll look forward to hearing from you. If you haven't done so already, I feel like your call is important to us, but if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and like and share with a friend and tell them I'm not too much of a freak. I am a freak, but not too freaky. I'm a good freak. And I want to grow the channel because I would love to be able to do collaborations. I would like to have like members only space where we have our own little club where we get to talk about things and have fun. And to do that, I think you have to have like 1,000 members nowadays on YouTube. So tell your friends, get some subscriptions going, hit the notification bell. That way you'll know when I'm talking about things. I have so much more to tell you. Let me know what you're interested in hearing about. If you have any topics you'd like me to go over, I can tell you I'm an end-of-life doula in training. I have a mentor. I'm a funeral celebrant. Before I did this new part of my life, this is the second leg of the journey. This is all my heart work. Before I did all that, I worked in the .com world. I was a geek girl. I am a geek girl. Before that, I was a bartender. Yes, I was. I've worked in dress shops. I've done all. I was a maid for hotels. I enjoyed that too. I love doing everything, and I feel like I am in my equal and rightful place each and every time, because there's something to be gained by that. There is a gift in all of it. So tell me what you think and what else you might like to hear about. And I'll wrap up for now. Take good care and be kind and gentle with yourself. Bye for now.